Hello, everybody, and welcome to this third session of our Joomla user group YOOtheme. Today, we have the honor of having Rachel, my co-host of the Joomla user group. So we have the pleasure to have her as speaker, and it will be very nice for everyone, and even more for the people who are newer, maybe to YOOtheme. It will be an excellent introduction and more to YOOtheme. And before giving her the microphone, I wanted to make a little call for speaker because one of the very interesting new features of YOOtheme Pro 5 released eight weeks ago, 2 months ago, is the cookie consent manager, but actually there is no documentation at the moment, and there is a lot to tell about it. So if you have some experience already with a cookie consent manager, we would like to have you as a speaker for one of the upcoming sessions of our Joomla user group. So feel free to get in touch with Rachel or with me if you feel like speaking about the cookie consent manager. And that's it for me. So I just stop sharing my screen.
Yes.
And Rachel, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. This is my first presentation in English, so bear with me. And today I'll be talking about how to start with YOOtheme. So we're going to talk about where to find which settings. We're going to look at templates versus pages, how to use dynamic content, and how to save elements and layouts for use in other projects or other places on your website. Um, there's a lot I'm going to tell you. There's even more that I'm not going to tell you. So I would like for the questions to be saved till the end of the session, unless I'm talking gibberish and you don't understand, then please feel free to interrupt so I can explain. But there may be some things I leave out deliberately. So you can ask me afterwards if we need more time than the hour. I think we can leave the room open after the session is finished so I can answer questions then. And at the end, I will leave my contact information so you can always contact me and ask me privately. So that being said, let's start. So what makes YOOtheme great? In my opinion, it's mostly because it works with Joomla instead of on top of Joomla. A lot of other page builders have their own little section, and the pages you build in them stay in them. And if you want to get rid of it, you lose your data. And with YOOtheme, it's different. You still manage your articles, your categories, your modules, your menus. All of that is still inside of core Joomla. And the only thing that YOOtheme does is help you make it look pretty. That's basically it. So I'm going to share my screen so you can watch with me. Let's do this complete screen. If I'm not mistaken, you can see the home dashboard of a Joomla installation now.
Yep.
Nice. Is it readable for you? Because I have quite a big screen. I zoomed in a bit, but I can zoom in more if needed.
I think it's pretty decent.
Okay, so if there's any problem with the visibility, just let me know and I'll zoom in even more. The installation of YOOtheme is just like any other extension, so I'm not going to go into that. I just installed it. I made it my default template. If you are wondering where you can do that, it's under System. Then you go to Site Templates. And if it wants to load, you can find the YOOtheme standard template here. You just hit the button to make it default, and then you see this button here appear that gives you access to the customizer right away. It's a very nice button, so you have YOOtheme at just a click away. The main page of YOOtheme is divided into two panels. The right one is the preview. You can see and navigate your complete your whole site here. You can go to every menu item. You can log in. If there is a login option, you can do whatever you can do on your regular website. And on the left side, there is the YOOtheme panel that gives you access to all the settings and stuff for YOOtheme. Well, the first panel has 7 options. You have the layout and style options. They control the design and the layout globally. So whatever you set here will trickle down on the entire website. You have the pages and the templates where you can build your content. You have the menus and the modules. There you can access your menus and your modules like you would in Joomla. You can create menus, you can create menu items, you can create modules. There is even a module builder inside of it, and there is even a menu mega menu builder. We're not going to go into that at this time, but then you know where to find it. And you have your settings here. And when I click on that, this is not managing how things look, but rather how things function. So you can set your favicon here, but also your API key. When you download a YOOtheme from YOOtheme.com and you have a license, you can get an API key. And with that API key, you get access to the updates, but also to their style library and their presets library. And they have all fancy stuff inside of YOOtheme that makes it worthwhile to put in your API key. The advanced tab is also a very nice one, because here you can override some default settings, like the folder where your media you download from YOOtheme will be stored. It's inside the image folder. By default, it's YOOtheme, but you can make it any folder you like. And you can also set which assets will be loaded when you use YOOtheme. I always deactivate Bootstrap because I'm using YOOtheme, not Bootstrap. But if you use an extension that does use Bootstrap, you can activate it here and it will be loaded when needed. So let's leave it off for now. I'll go back to my overview. The layout and the styles. Let's start there. These are global settings. The layout controls how the page will look, this where what element, how the elements are shown, and the style determines how they look like, colors, backdrops, drop shadows, all that kind of stuff. So when I go into the layout, this is ordered from more important to less important, in my opinion. So when I go to the site, this controls settings for the whole website. So I'll click on that and we'll have a look. You can set here your logo text, for example, my site, and it will appear here. If you don't like the text, you can upload a logo. I like the little bird, like this one. That's better. And when you choose a logo, the text you place here will be used as an alt attribute. So it's really nice to put in a text there. So for people who have less visibility, they have a decent alt attribute. And for Google, it's good as well. Besides your main logo, you can set a bunch of other logos, like for mobile, for your dialogue. And your dialogue is the off-canvas panel that slides in on mobile, for example. So you can set a different logo here. And one of the major features here is the layout of the whole site. Default is full width, like it is now, but you can also box it in. And you can see there's a bit of a margin here on the right and the left side. This is a nice, I got this tip again not so long ago, but if you click this little icon here, the panel disappears and you can view your whole website. And this is really handy when you're working on smaller screens. When you're working on a big screen, it doesn't make much difference. But when you're working on your laptop, it's a really nice way to take a look of how your site is looking full screen. So the site, this controls the main look of your website. I'll go back to the layout. If you set this one up, you go to the next one, which is the header. And the header is everything at the top of your website. It contains your logo, it contains your navigation, your search bar, all that stuff. And here you determine how you want it to look. So this is a little preview. If you click the preview, you will get more options. The thick block, it represents your logo. The 3 smaller blocks represent your menu, and the search icon, it represents your search position. So you can choose whatever tickles your fancy. Let's say I want to split my menu. Then the bird gets in the middle, so you choose whatever you like, and it will apply it to every single page on your website. You can set here the width, how you want the nav bar to behave. Default is static, but you can make it sticky. So when you scroll, it stays on top, or make it sticky on scroll. Then it scrolls out of the viewport, but when you scroll back to the top, it falls in. You can adjust things for the drop bar. There are all sorts of things that are all related to the header. The mobile view does the same, but then actually it should rather be the mobile header, because this determines how you want your mobile header to look. So you have almost the same options here as you had with the header, but then for your mobile view. Then you have the top, the sidebar, and the bottom. Those are module positions. And if I just go back a little bit to the header, these, your logo position, your navbar position, and where your search resides, are also module positions. So you can put modules there. Back to those. Here you can set some basic settings. If there is a module positions at the top, how do you want that container to look? Do you want to give it a styling? Do you want to give it a background color? That kind of thing. You can give it a background image that's only used if there is a module present in that location. So you can do that for the top, for the bottom, and for your sidebar. Then you have the footer. It's normally you would say this is a module position as well, but YOOtheme decided to make this a builder element. So you can build your own footer with everything that YOOtheme has to offer in the builder. And we'll look at the builder later. So let's go back here. And then the last two are the blog and the post. In WordPress, you have posts and you have pages. Joomla doesn't make a difference between the two, but to keep the terminology a bit of the same, YOOtheme made a choice to refer to articles as posts, and only the articles that are placed in the uncategorized category, those are pages in YOOtheme terms. So they work exactly as you are used to in Joomla, but that's how the termination in YOOtheme works. So here you can set up how you want your blog to look and your post to look if you don't create a template for it yourself. Let's have a quick look. You can determine things like the width, the padding. If you are into the blog, you can even make it a masonry effect. The number of columns you are seeing in your blog is determined by your menu item. So you still use the default things you've always used, but here you can adjust it a little. Okay, so then we go to the pages and the templates. There is a difference between the two. The pages are single articles that are built with the builder in YOOtheme. So they are basically really page builders. As I said earlier, the pages that YOOtheme recognizes as pages are by default in the uncategorized category, but in the settings, you can change that category to any category you like. So you can create a pages category and use that one. The articles that are in the defined category will show up here in the list, but you can basically work with every page. So let's see it. I had a article with boys in it, and I look for my articles, and here's my quick boys article, and I can build this if I want to with the page builder. Templates, on the other hand, are layouts that apply to many different articles or views. You can create a template for a single article view, for block category views. You can make it for tagged items, for featured article views, for a list of all the tags. You can make a template for your search results. There are a lot of pages you can build with the builder in the templates. But let us first look at the pages because they are the easiest. When you, let me go back a bit. When you click here on the name of the page, it opens in the builder. I haven't built anything yet for this page, so it's, well, quite empty. And I have two options. I can create a new layout, or and when I change my mind and I want to make a template, I can open the templates and see what's happening there. But for now, we'll just make a new layout. When I click this, and you can see we are working on the home page. And when you are working on a single article, there is a little pencil that appears here. If I click at that one, I dive right into the article in my Joomla article editor, and I can edit the article as I like, as I'm used to in Joomla, save it, cancel it. The only thing I cannot do is delete it. In the builder, we work with sections. Every page has at least one section. Every section has at least one row. That's the white thing here. And every row has at least one column. You can see that this, by this one plus. When you hover it, all kind of icons appear. You have the edit icon for the section. You can copy the section. You can save the section, so you can use it later. Or you can remove the section. When I remove it, I go back to creating the layout because I need a section to build a layout. Same goes for the row. The only thing I cannot do is I cannot save a row. If I want to do that, I have to save the section. And when I go into my row, I click the edit button. Then I have the option here to change the layout to multiple columns. So let's add a column. I have two columns here. I can edit them here. So I have my first column and my second column. So I can really dig into this layout. On the top here, you can see that I am now working in my row. And if I want to go a level up, I go back to the builder. So I'll hit that, and you see the two pluses here now. So I have two columns to work with. Now let's have a look at what I can do with this section. When I click on the pencil for the section, you see here three tabs. I'm in the section. I can go back to my builder. I have a content tab where I'm on now because it's a bit darker. I have a settings tab and I have an advanced tab. In my content tab, I can add content. For the section, it's rather limited. I can have a background image. I can have a background video. And I can have a title. And how the title appears depends on your styling. So let's put in a title here. Nothing happens here, but when I make my whole screen visible, you see the title appear here. Now I said that you can style it later. It occurs to me that I skipped the whole styling bit. So we'll get to that later. It doesn't matter what in what order you do it. So we'll get to that after this. So you have your content tab, you have your settings tab, and here you can define your settings. So for the section, you can set a style, like the muted version, and you see here it gets a background color. You can make it primary. You can make it secondary, and I don't know if you see it, but the secondary is in this look a slightly darker color than the primary version. If you don't apply any settings to your style, you can set a background color yourself. And this color will only apply to this section because you set it in the section yourself, in the section itself. So I'll remove this because I don't like it. Let's make it primary. Yay. Okay, let's go back. I want one column here. This is my hero section, so I only want one column here. So I'll add an element. When you click on the plus, you can add an element, and there are a few different types of elements. You have the basic elements that consist of one thing. So you have one headline, you have one block of text, you have one image, but you also have the multiple items. If you have a list, for example, a list exists of multiple items in that list. A grid exists of many panels. But let's start with a simple headline. Let's click on it. We have our content tab. Give the title to something like this. I could add a link, don't want to do that. I can add an item or an icon in front of it, don't want to do that as well. Then I go to my settings, and here I can determine what kind of HTML element it is. Do I want an H1? And in this case, yes, I do, because it's my main title. But I do want to style it a little bit. I want to make it a bit bigger because it's, well, it's my welcome title. So let's make it big. So you can apply settings here for the headline, and the settings you can apply depend on the element you are using. The more complex the element, the more settings you have to work with. We haven't looked at the advanced tab yet, so let's do that now. Here you have the opportunity to name your element or your category or your row or your column, because the advanced tab is basically the same for every element on the page. So let's make this the welcome title, so I can easily identify it later. I can give it an ID or a class. If I want to add some custom styling later. I can add here custom attributes only applying to this element. And I can even override the CSS right here in the element. It's a bit tempting to do it this way, and sometimes it's great to do it here. But if you find yourself doing this a lot, it might be easier to create a custom style sheet, so you have all your styles in one place and work with the classes. So you just don't have to look through all your elements to find where you define some CSS for it. So let's go back to my builder. I have my section here with my welcome title. I can put another section below it with this plus, or I can put another row beneath the section. Let's put in an icon. I like that. And because it's in the same section, it has the same background color. If I put something here, let's do a countdown, it will appear in a new section without the background color. So this is basically how you can build a page. But I don't know if you've ever seen this or ever used it, but there is also a library button here. And what this does, it gives you access to all great kinds of layouts that YOOtheme has already designed for you. And when you're new to YOOtheme, this is a great way to get a feel of how things can work. So what you can do is look through all the layouts and pick one with an element that you think, oh, I might want to know more about this. Let's see how they did that. Let's pick this one. And if you pick a layout here, mind this little drop down. Default, it's replace layout. So if I click this, it will overwrite the layout I've already built. Sometimes that's perfectly fine. Sometimes you really don't want that. You can choose to add the layout at the top or at the bottom of the layout you have already created. But in this case, we are going to replace the layout because let's choose this one. Fortunately, if you do replace it, it gives you a little warning so you don't lose stuff you don't want to. And I'm particularly interested in how they did this little cloud over this picture. So I'm going to hover this element. And as you can see in the panel on the left, I get a blue box around the element that is corresponding to where I'm hovering. I also get the option here to edit it directly, to copy it, to save it, or to delete it. And this little crosshair, this jumps the panel to this element, especially handy when the elements go below your viewport and you don't see where the blue box is. But for now, let's just hit this element. Let's go to the settings. And I have a clue why it is overlaying this picture. But let's see if I'm correct. Yes. Here in the general settings, you can set the position of the element. And here it's set at absolute and at -80 pixels. So the content that's beneath it will move up 80 pixels. We can adjust this and see what happens. It moves further up or further down. So you can play with this. You can also use the notes. The slider. So you get a feel of how things are done in YOOtheme, and it's really helpful to, well, get to know YOOtheme better and to understand how it works and to get inspiration and, well, use stuff you don't have to invent yourself. So really nice way to work with the builder. So this is the easy part. And to recap a bit about how the settings are working. Well, we have the grid element. We didn't look at the grid element yet. The grid element is a multiple item element. So you have the grid as a whole with its items inside. And let me look at this item. This item also has the content settings and the advanced tabs. And here I can see I am into item 1. I can go up to the grid. And when I'm in the grid, I can go back to the builder. Now, the settings that I make for this item, they will override the settings I made for the entire grid. So if I style my panel, let's go, I think I'll style my panel as a primary card, and I'll have to look. Oh yeah, it's this one. You see only this panel changes. If I go back to my grid and I go to my settings here and I go to the panel settings over here and I set it to a secondary, all the panels change. So an item overrides the settings of its element, and the element itself overrides the settings you make in the global settings, which we will look at later. And that goes for all the multiple items, all the multiple elements that you have. The item will override the parent. Okay. Now we have built our page. Let's save it. I don't want to download all the media files. So I will fill it in later. Now let's jump back to those layout and to the style. We did the layout. Now we're going to look at the style. This is where you determine how things will look on your website. The typography, the colors you use, all that sort of stuff. The first thing you can do is you can choose a default style that YOOtheme provides for you. There are a lot of styles, 283 styles you can choose from. You can filter by background color, basic colors, type. It's really nice to look at it. What you have to take into consideration, let me, for example, choose craft. Sometimes there are design elements that you cannot change. Like in craft, you have this wiggly line beneath the menu. It's an SVG image. You cannot change that here. If you want to change that, you have to make an override in the template. It is doable, but not for this session. You can change the color, but you can change the line. So when you choose a basic style here, that's something you have to take into consideration. Now you can look at all these styles in full effect on the YOOtheme website if you look for the templates. These are also templates, so you can see what they do, what effects they have, and choose the one that suits your project best. The simplest one is the UI kit one. That's just based on UI kit, doesn't have anything special. But for now, let's choose the FC Greenfield. This is the newest one. Let's choose this one. I like this one. And you see, instantly, my whole website changes. Now I want to go back to the layout and to my site again, because I don't want that boxed content. I want a full width. So I'll change that for now and go back to where we were. This is a neat little button. When you click it, you will preview all UI components. So especially when you don't have anything to style yet, when you click this, you get a preview of all the elements that there are to style. And when you go over them, and this is the same when you're looking at your own pages, you get this little label. In this case, it says article text, which gives you a clue to where you can find settings for this item in your panel on the left. So for this thing, I can find settings under article, and I can find things under text. So when I go to article, it's the article text. My preview changes to only the things that are controlled by this setting. So that's a neat little, well, how do you call it? Hint to where you can find settings for the elements. There are general settings and there are component settings. The general settings, the name says it all. They are general settings, so they apply to everything. Mainly the global ones. Here you can set your font stuff. So you can choose a font, you can choose sizes, weights, letter spacing, all kinds of stuff you can set here. When you choose a font family, you can look directly for a Google font. If you choose a Google font, it will be loaded locally, so you don't have to make the connection to your Google, to the Google library. So it just loads faster. So you can set your fonts, you can set your colors. Well, let's change this one to here, for example, and then you see directly, all the changes that your new color make. And you see this little dot in front of it. That indicates that you have changed it from the default of this style. When you hover it, it becomes a cross, and when you click it, it reverts back to its original color. These colors will be used down the line in other elements and in where you can override them if you like. So let's go back. The theme does mainly things when you have a boxed layout, so it determines the background color. You can set here if you want to use the color of your toolbar and some other settings. Feel free to look around and play with it and see what happens. You also have the inverse option, and there you can style what happens when things are placed on a darker background. And then we have the components, as we said. And when you go, for example, to the buttons, and I hover my background here, or my border here, you see a little A pop up. That little A means that the value of this of this setting is automatically calculated. So this is determined by the color we set in the global settings. But if we don't want it here, we can just adjust it, choose another one, and this little A goes away, and we get the dot in front of it to indicate that we changed things. So all these settings will apply from global to settings per component and can be overwritten sometimes. No, they cannot be overwritten in the elements. You can just add different styling there in the CSS field. You can choose different colors that you preset here sometimes. So that is for the styling. We go back to the pages and the templates. We build our page. Now we're going to look at the templates. As said, a template is applied to multiple pages. So when we want to create a new template, let's, for example, start with a simple one, a article view. So in my preview, I'm going to go to an article view. Let's use the quick boys. Don't mind the Dutch text, not important. I click new template. I can give it my name, general article view, for example. Because I am looking at a single article, it filled in single article as the type of page you want to make the template for here already, but you have here an option to choose a different kind of page. You can limit your templates by category. I don't want to do it for now, but you can say, I only want to create this template for single articles in my news category. Then you just click your news category, or you want to apply it to your news and your events, for example, you just control click it, and you have two categories where this view will apply. If you do limit it by category, you can also choose if you want to exclude child categories, include child categories, or only apply it to child categories. Same goes for the tags. You can limit by tag and choose if you want to exclude child tags or include them or only apply it to child. I just unset my limit and I click save. And it appears here in the panel under the single articles, and the dot indicates that I am looking at a single article right now, and if I am going to adjust this, this is where it happens. You can see anything here, my whole view just disappeared. That's because I don't have anything in my template yet. So I click my template and I can build my new layout. Same as with the page we built before. We have the section, we have the row, and we have our column. Now I want this one, I want two columns. And in this one, I want a headline, namely the title of my article. I want the text of my article, and I want my article image. Oh, very nice, and you get a little preview because you didn't enter any information yet. You get a little preview here. But now I want to tell Joomla, tell YOOtheme that I want the title of the article I am looking at the moment, and the title should change when I look at a different article. So I want to pull that in dynamically, and this is where the dynamic content comes in. So the first thing we have to do is, in the item, we have to link it to a source, and you do that in the advanced tab. Here you have the dynamic content. We skipped over it before. And here you can choose where to pull information from. The page we are currently looking at, we can pull information from the article we are looking at. We can pull information from the previous article or the next article. And there are some custom views and some global views we can use as well. But in this case, we just want this article, so we choose the article. Now, when we go back to the content, we get a button here for the dynamic information. So when I click that, since we are pulling information from the article, I get all the fields associated with this article here. The title, the content, the teaser, the publication dates. I can even go a level up and get information from the category that this article belongs to. And if there are any custom fields that are assigned to this article, I can also pull their information. But here I just want the title, so let's do that. Et voila, there it is. Quick boys again. Well, let's check the settings. It's a heading 1. I'm fine with that because it's my main title. So I'll go back to my builder and I'll do the same for my text. I go to advanced. I want to link it to the article. That's my source. And here I want to pull my content. When you look at your builder now, you can see these little database icons. When you hover over it, you see it's dynamic. It's linked to the dynamic content. So these are dynamically filled with content. Each time you see this little icon, it means that there will be a request to the database to pull information about the article to fill your field with. So for these to be filled, and the image in a bit as well, we have to make 3 pull requests to the 2 queries. Pull requests, I'm not developing. We have to make 3 queries to the database. We can do that more efficient by linking up the section as the source. So we go to the section, and in the advanced tab, we tell it to get information from the article. So there you go to the database, you get your information. And then we have to make a little change here in the headline and in the text. If I go to the advanced tab for the headline, it is now linked to the article, 2nd query. But if I link it to my parent, namely the section, it uses the information from the 1st query that section made. So if I do it this way, it's much more efficient than when I link them all separately. And now you see this one has the database icon, and this one has the database icon with a little p, which means there is a parent and it's getting its information from the parent. Now let's do the same with the image. I'll link it to the parent and I'll pull the information, namely the intro image. Voila. Okay, but now I think I might want the title to be on top of the image. So I want another row. Yeah, let's add another row. I'll add another row. I'll place my title in it. And when you hover your row, you have to hover a bit precise, but when you're near the border, but not really on the border and not really on the pencil as well, it becomes a crosshair. You can pick it up and move it. If the other, yeah, and move it to the top. You can do it with rows, you can do this with sections. You cannot do it with columns. So we built our first template with dynamic content. Yay for us. Now I want to save. I want to save this layout because maybe I want to reuse it later. I really like the applause icon.
Yeah. No,
so when I hover my section, when I hover my section, I have these icons here, and I can click the Save to Library icon. I can give it a name, like header, text, image, I don't know. Something I can identify it by later, and I click Save. And now when I go back to my library and I go to My Layouts, there it is. The section I just saved, I can, let's put it at the top. When I click it now, hey, there's my 2nd section. So now I have the article twice. You can also, if you made, you have this element, you're very happy with the settings you made, you want to save this item, you can do that as well. My image, I can save it here. When I go to my library and I go to my layout, nothing's there. That is because it is an element. So it only shows up when I'm trying to add an element. If I click my plus button and I go to my presets, there it is. Now I can use it. You also have the option here to download all, to download just one, or to upload a preset. And that can come very handy if you build your own presets. Like I have this to top preset. There is a to top. Let me go here. There is a to top option to put mostly in your footer, but let's put it here just because we can. And this takes you to the top of your page. Now, most of the times I want this one to be visible always. So I use my own. I built this one, and this floats right here in the right corner. So it is a bit, I think nicer. So I use that on every website. I just build it once and I just upload it to every project I'm working on. Let me save my layout. Now, let's go a bit further. Let's build a blog layout view. I'm going to my blog page. I'm going to create a new template. This time it's a category blog page. General blog view. I don't want to limit it to anything. And I just save it. In my workflow, I usually start with a general article view and a general blog view, and that's my fallback. And I use that to create more specific views for, let's say, if I want my events to look different than my news, I probably will, because with my events, I want some custom fields showing. Then I just use the general view. I copy that one and I adjust that one to my liking. But I always have a fallback if I forget to link a blog view to my to a specific template.
We
So
still have 10 to 15 minutes to go before, if we want to keep on time, right?
I think we will manage.
Okay, good. It's just to give you an indication.
Thank you, thank you. So here you see the dot. We are in this view. So when I click it, I'll stay on the same page. I will generate my layout. We have our section here. I want to put in a header for the category name and maybe a description for the category if there is any. And let's start with that. So I go into my section. I go into my advanced tab. And this is also a nice feature. We looked at it earlier, but you can also name your section. So let's name it category content. So I know what we are doing. And I want to link this. And now we are looking at a page where there is a category. So we can link to category. We can also link to all the articles. But for now, we don't want to do that. We just link to the category. We go back to our content, to the builder. And the headline, we link up to our parent, which is the category. And we want the category title. There it is. Same for the content, link it to the parent, and pull the description. Now, there is no description for this category, so it will not show this block of information. Now it gets a little bit more complex because now I want to pull multiple items. I want to pull every article that is in this category. Therefore, I add a multiple items thing. This time I choose the grid. There you can see a little preview of what it might look like. And when I go to my grid, now in YOOtheme, you can repeat stuff. You can repeat items, you can repeat columns, you can repeat rows, you can repeat complete sections. And where you link the source in this case, the source for the multiple items, that is the element that gets repeated. So if I go to my grid and I go to the advanced tab here, and I link it to my parent category, and then I link it to my multiple item source, namely the articles that are inside the category my parent is linked to. If I do it at the grid level, the grid will be repeated. That's not what I want. I want a single item to be repeated. So I just remove this here. I go to my content. I create an item. And there I set my dynamic content. From the category, I will pull all the articles. And now when I link my title to the title, it pulls all the titles. Here I can pull my teaser information. And oh my God, this is a lot. I think I didn't put in a read more separator. But no worries, I can change that here, or I can adjust it here. I can click this little edit button, because why not? Every field has settings. Click this little edit button, and here I can limit the content length. So I'll put it at 160. And what this does, it will count the first 160 characters. If it comes across your read more link before that, it will use the read more link to break off your text. If it doesn't find the read more link, it'll break it off at 160 characters. Now, sometimes it also cuts off words. I don't like that, so I want to preserve the words. So it stops at the first word that will fit into those 160 characters, and it will break it off there. Now, I like this much better than it was. And while we're here, you can put something in front of it. Like, say you want this in front of it, you can put something at the end if you like. You can even search and replace. So let's search for the word. Let's search for the word van. And let's replace it to from. And now you see in my text, everywhere where it finds the word van, it changes it to from. In this case, not really relevant, but hey, let's just erase all this and let's keep it at the 160. I'm content with that. Now, of course, I want an image. And of course, I want a link to view the whole article. Here it is, my link. And I get this read more. I can add a read more text here. I can also pull dynamically, for instance, the title. Limit it to 20 characters because otherwise it's way too long, and put the read more in front of it. So, because we made the item the multiple source, it repeats the item. But what if we don't want the image here? We want the image between the text and the button. Because in the panel settings, we can adjust the position of the image. Let's see, we can put it at the top, we can put it at the bottom, we can put it at the left or the right, we can put it between the text and the title, but we cannot put it between the text and the button. So if I really want to do it like that, I have to find another solution. So let's get rid of our grid. Let's add another row, because I want my 3-column setup. So I need a row with 3 columns. And I want those columns to have the title of my article. I wanted to have the text of my article. I wanted to have the image of my article, and I want to create a button link to the whole article. So I have my setup. But now I want to repeat everything that is in this first column. So I go to my row, to my column settings, and I make this one the source of my multiple items. So here I choose the articles. And now when I go back to the row, back to the builder, I see this box around the around my column. It says it's the parent because it gets its information from my category. And with the little n next to it indicates that it will be multiplied. So when I link up here, just to the articles, I'll just do it rather quickly because we're running out of time. Otherwise, I'm afraid. This is the teaser. And the image. Well, you get my drift. Now the column is repeated for all the articles that are there. You can even apply this to the row. So for instance, you can put your text here and your image there, and we leave out the button. Then I'll change the column. I don't want to repeat the column anymore, so I don't want to do that. I want to repeat my row, and now I'm in my row. So I go to advanced. I say from the category, pull all the articles. And here we go. Now the row is repeated. And we can do this with a section as well. And this gives you very, very powerful tools to work with custom fields, for example. So you can build really elaborate, repeatable layouts. So let's do a little recap. I'll save my layout here. I'm very content with it. Let's do a little recap. We'll go back to, back to our setting. When it comes to layouts, you have your layout and your styles that control the global settings. Then you have your elements that control the settings of the element as a whole. And you have your items that control the look and the feel of the item itself. That's a bit of the hierarchy that YOOtheme uses. And then, of course, you have the rows and the sections and the columns to construct your layout. Well, it was a lot. I hope it helps you get started with YOOtheme. It just is you just have to dive in and try things, see what works, see what doesn't work, use their prefab layouts, their prefab. I will show you my contact information. Questions. I'm going to answer questions right now, of course. But if you have questions after that, just look me up. I'm online and always willing to help. So I'll stop sharing. Where can I stop sharing? Oh, here. Questions. Did I stop sharing?
Yeah, I think Henrik had a question. Please unmute yourself.
I do have a question from Silke. She asks a question about the link on the row. Is it possible to link the entire row or column similar to link panel? Not to my knowledge. When I go to, let's go to the templates and let's go to here.
Maybe you should share again then.
Oh yes, that would be nice. There is no option to link the row. So unfortunately, you cannot link the entire row. And that is when you repeat stuff, it really depends on what you want to accomplish, which solution you choose. Because you can link the complete panel, so it doesn't matter where you click on the panel, you get to the article, which is a really nice feature. You cannot do that with a column or a row. So you just have to link either the title or the image or the button. You can link all of them, but that is accessibility wise, you get redundant links. So it's something to think about when you make decisions in what you want to repeat.
Just to answer that specific question. So either you would put a link on the title, on the image, on the read more, etc. But
Mhm.
as you say, it would make many links to the same article. Either sometimes I had not realized, but sometimes instead of using an image plus a title, well, did you know that there is an image in the title element? Just like you could use a description element or maybe a
Yep.
panel element itself, so that you would limit the number of links. That's one thing.
Yep.
And otherwise, if you really want a whole column, for example, or a whole row to have a link, you can do that with CSS. I don't remember by heart exactly how, but if you, well, actually, you just put a link on the read more, but with some
Yeah,
CSS,
yeah.
you say
Expand
that it
text
applies to its
overlay.
parent or something.
Yep.
So yeah, you should search a bit, or I should search in the past where I had done that. But
Yep.
it's also technically feasible.
There is also a dirty way to do it. I don't think it will work for the row, but it will work for the column. You can add an HTML element uh, at the top.
Oh yeah,
Put here your opening a tag, so like a
yeah, we know what you
like
mean.
that. The other one, and you know what I mean. And when I go back to the builder, you put in another HTML tag with the closing a tag, and then everything in between will be linked. It's not proper markup. So you should only use it when no other option is available to you, but it can be done.
Yeah, but sometimes this HTML trick, HTML before and after something, when sometimes you want to add a div to make something special or a span or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah, it's a nice little tip to do that.
Yeah.
Also, Stefan, you mentioned something about excerpt. Maybe you want to unmute yourself to tell us if you are still in the room.
Yes, hello. You can use it's maybe from the WordPress part, create a custom field, maybe in text area or just an input field. Call it excerpt, and use him automatically. If you choose a teaser text, it will use this field and have a fallback to the content.
Yes, you have here the option to. Oh, they removed the option.
No, it's a fallback to content, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah, but it used to say here use excerpt.
yes,
But
it's
now
automatically.
all back to content. It's the same thing, but it's named different.
Yeah, but if you create a field with this name, it will use it automatically.
I meant this one. Prefer expert over the intro text.
Yeah.
That is a really nice nice option. Cindy also has a question about, is it possible to save a whole page with multiple sections and not just one section or element? Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's a good.
If you go to the builder and you go to the library here, you have the option to save your layout. When you go to my layouts, you can save the entire layout, give it a title. But that's a very nice title. And it will save the entire page. There is also a way, an option to, sorry,
You should
you
save
can
it.
you can copy an entire template. So if I click copy here, I make an entire new template. And for example, if I want to link this, I have a different. I'm content with my overall template view, but I want it a bit different for my news. I use this one, and sorry, I use I say news blog overview. I limit it to my news, and I save it. And when I'm here, it will use this one because I'm here. It will use this one, and if it doesn't find this one, it will use the other one. While we're here, the order of your template is important because you will look from top to bottom if anything applies to the page you are looking at. So if I put my my news blog below my general blog, it will use my general blog because it does apply to this page. This general blog isn't confined by any category, so it will fit the specifications of this page, and this will be ignored entirely. So there's that.
So typically the default one that you want to have as fallback is like the last one.
Yes, goes at the bottom.
How you remember it.
Yeah. Valentin has a question. Is it possible to detect if there are more than 3 elements from the dynamic content and switch the visible element, for example, to one with less than 3 or more than 3? Yes, if I understand correctly, like let's put it back where we have the column. Column 1. La-di-da. Articles. Now there are like 6 items in the column. Let's say we want to use 5. So we have less than a multiple of 3. We have 3 here, 2 here. What we can now do is in the row, we can set what we want to do with the alignment of the columns if there are less than what we have. So I can align them left or I can align them center. And why is this not working at the moment? That's a bit jammer.
Because you have a grid element. There is an option for that in the grid. Here, you do it as if you were creating your own column, I think.
Yeah, but it is a column.
It is your own column.
It is in my column, so it should.
Yeah.
It should work. Oh, maybe I don't have enough room. No, that's not it. Darn. Well, you should be able to position those child columns. Let's put it that way. You can justify it so it will be one half and another half. You can align it left like it is now, or you can center it and they will move to the center of the row it has. I don't know why it's not working at this moment. Probably because there's a setting keeping it from doing what it's supposed to. Does that answer your question? I hope so.
Yeah, and also a bit in the direction of the Valentin's question. Sometimes you could have a grid, for example, so multiple item elements like a grid, where you would like to say, oh, for my first element or my first 2 elements should be a bit different. And actually, you could say that you put 2 dynamic items instead of putting 1 dynamic item fetching all your news, for example. You would say, no, I go from 1 to 2. I only fetch 2, and those ones I make a special configuration. Maybe the image is bigger, maybe it's wider, maybe it's full width, whatever. And then you add a second item saying you start from number 3 until the end. And for those ones, you have a different configuration. So you could have, yeah, exactly what you're doing here. Yeah, if you change the start, you can have a different style.
Yeah, and where I went wrong is I made the panel setting in the element, so it will apply to every element.
Yeah.
But I want to do it here in the item. I want to set this item to primary. And because this item is repeated 3 times, it will do it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have a different.
That's a nice way sometimes to have. I had this for a list or a description element, to be precise. sometimes it's like for musicians, and sometimes you only have one, sometimes you have five, or seven or two. But I only, every time I have uh, a left column and a right column, the title and then the value. But I only, in case of multiple musicians, I only want to say musician once on the page. I don't want to say musician semicolon Mark, musician semicolon Rachel, musician semicolon Valentin. So this way I could say, okay, for the first one I put the title, and for the next ones I don't put the title.
Yeah. Now there's a question if this works with pagination. Let's check. Let's have 2 of those. Let's start with 3. I do have more in my article. Let's remove this one. Let's add the pagination. Let's save my layout and let's go to the next one. And yes, no, it will not work, because here I told it to fetch the first and stop at the second. So on every page, it will get the first and stop at the second.
Wait, actually, it's because I think it's because your source is not set. If you have a menu item which calls a category, to speak in Joomla terms, then it would work. But here we were maybe calling.
It does pull a category, but what you can do, it does pull the category and the articles in the category. So it will, but we overwritten here the start and the quantity, and that is set. So on the second page, it will also pull these items. But what you can do is you can, here you have in your view, when you go here, where was it? Oh, you can limit it by page number. So you can apply this template to the first page and make a different template to for the next page. And there you can let go of all this layout and just go from to style the rest.
Or simply, if as the source we use articles, if we are not playing with the category, parent category, etc., if we just use articles coming from the menu item, then it works naturally without doing anything.
Yeah, but then you cannot. It didn't work because we used the parent category. So you let go of the menu settings.
Because you were doing something more specific in this case.
But when you use the articles, you cannot set a quantity anymore. You can start at a different one, but I can't even start a different one. These settings are.
No, it works.
Oh, it works.
Yeah, you can.
Let's do this, but I cannot set a limit.
Well,
I can set a limit. Whoa, sorry. I'm
happy you could come to this session. You've learned something, Rachel.
Yeah.
At your own session.
Oh, and let's save this layout. When I go save the layout, please. When I go to my first page, yeah, it worked, but it still keeps the blue stuff. So when I go to the next page, it will still be blue.
Yeah, okay, we could refine
but
this.
You see the next items.
Yeah. And what I do very often, okay, this is a blog view, so the next and previous makes sense. But when I am on a single article view, instead of showing the word previous and the word next, actually what I use is what you had shown in the sources, in the dynamics sources. You can say next article and previous article. And actually what I do is that I use a button element, for example, and I fetch the title of the next article and of the previous article. And it's there is much more chance that a visitor will click on it if you see the name of the next one. Like if it's a concert or a film, if you see it, you will click on it. If you just see next or previous, it's like a surprise. But yeah, and so it makes sense to use that for next and previous.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that option. Let's set it to the next one.
Yeah, and you do it live. So it's very nice. Do it faster than what I explained.
And here I want my icon to the on the right side. And there you go.
So just for information of the people who are still there, every session is recorded. So hopefully still today, I can upload the video, and the link is always available directly on the official website of this Joomla user group YOOtheme.
Yeah.
So any last question, or can we wrap up?
Anything we missed, we skipped? Questions that were asked but not answered?
So this was an introduction, because actually now that I've been using YOOtheme for years, I keep learning tips and tricks from other people, and that was the goal of the creation of this current Joomla user group YOOtheme, is because at the last Joomla Day Netherlands, I was chatting with Rachel, and I was learning tips from her, and she was learning tips from me, and we thought, you know what, we should create a user group so that we can exchange all those things and learn from each other. Yeah, so that's very nice. And so if anybody, I'll repeat what I had said in the introduction. We are looking for a speaker about the new feature introduced with YOOtheme Pro 5 2 months ago, namely the cookie consent banner manager. So if somebody has already played with it and can make a session of it, we would be very grateful. Just get in touch with Rachel or with me. And yeah.
And if you want to know more, we have our next session is in April, and there is the Joomla Day USA in April as well. And both Elisa and I will be giving a presentation about YOOtheme. Elisa will be talking about starting with YOOtheme, but her view of starting with YOOtheme, so that might be an interesting one to watch as well. And I'll be diving deeper into the dynamic content side of things.
And if you are interested, especially if you're newer to YOOtheme, just make a search on YouTube, because there are already several presentations, especially from Elisa Fultin, which are very interesting. And again, like in 1 hour, it gives really a good overview of things that can be done. Yeah, especially with dynamic content and this kind of things.
And if there are any topics you want to know more about that aren't on the list yet, just tell us
ideas of
what we can do.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll stop the recording here. Thanks everybody for being with us, and see you at the next session, which will be a tips and tricks session. So I've already prepared like 10 tips and tricks that I would like to share, and come with your own. It's a bring your own tips and tricks session, right? So the idea is that we all exchange. Yeah. So see you next time, every month, a Joomla user group YOOtheme meeting. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.